Memories with Mashiro Toba. Let's see if we can finish these today. After the incident, Natsuko and the others had been living in a certain place in Hokkaido, with lodging provided by the ESP Bureau under Enna's guidance. They spent their days hiding from the media and the Rokame city government, away from their hometown. One day, around half a year after they had begun living that way, Natsuko and Mashiro talked in the lodging hallway.
いやー、なんかすっかりここの生活にも慣れちゃったね。
最初はどうなることかと思ったけどな。
Got that right. Natsuko spoke as he drank his milk coffee.
生活に不便はないし、聴過局の人たちもいい人だしさ。
So the ESP Bureau are the good guys.
時
In the
々
end.
銃声が聞こえるのが怖いけどね。
Well, that's scary. What the fuck? They were lodged at a training facility for ESP Bureau members. Oh, okay. The lodging was adjacent to a shooting range and a martial arts dojo. This was apparently where Anna had trained her marksmanship when she joined the Bureau.
それにして
Well,
も
that's handy.
ここに来てもう半年か。
Oh, wow.
本来だったらもう2年生になってる頃だね。
僕ら留年ってことになるのかな。
大丈夫だって。エナ先生が何らかの技を使ってちゃんと2年生にしてくれるってさ。勉強も遅れてないし大丈夫だよ。
Oh, that's good.
そうか。
Since Anna was an official of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, Technology, Mext, she could probably manage to pull it off. Natsuko was just a little anxious. Once the secluded life ended and they returned to Rokame City, could they really return to their previous lives?
なあ、マシロ。お前、今後のことって何か考えてるか？
何やぶから棒に。
いや、この先いつか六名士に戻る時が来たとしても、これだけ社会の裏を知ってしまった以上、平然と暮らしていけるかってことだよ。
We'll become vigilantes together.
僕はいろいろ迷いが出ちゃってね。今後どうしようかなって。
Striving for justice.
そうだね。
Mashiro thought for a little bit before answering tentatively.
まだずっと先のことだけどさ。実は私ね、エナ先生に誘われてるんだ。
Oh.
高校卒業したら聴歌局に入らないか。
Oh, is she gonna be like Watase to Kazumi?
今聴歌局にはエンパシーが使える管理官がほとんどいないんだってさ。私が管理官になれば聴歌局の仕事もずっとやりやすくなるよ。9月16日の事件とか有利たちが拉致されたみたいなことも未然に防げるかもしれないじゃない。
それはそうだけど、どうするんだ？
まだわかんないけどやってみようかなってちょっと思ってる。
Natsuko gasped. He hadn't received such an invitation. Perhaps the reason Enna didn't ask him is because he was a senses sympathy user. Communicators who could use senses sympathy were always in danger of enification. Using BC for work would only double that danger. That was Natsuhiko's guess as to why only Mashiro was given the offer. We should bring Salyu too. So you have the heavy, Salyu, who can throw people around. The tactician, Mashiro, who can use empathy.
管理官ってどんな仕事なんだろう。
The both of them protecting Natsuhiko, the rank S communicator.
詳しいことはわからないけど、多分エナ先生と一緒に BC 絡みの事件を捜査するんじゃないかな。
Or that too.
あと全国の政令指定機密都市を監査したりとか、
Eh,
教師のふりしたりとか。
you would make a good teacher.
じゃあ、僕らとは離れて暮らすことになるのか。
そうかもね。でもずっと会えないわけじゃないよ。
お前に向いてるかな。
That is your kind of thing.
多分向いてるよ。私そういうの大好きだし。
It's very much your thing. Adventurous stuff.
社会を裏から守るため全国飛び回る美少女管理官ってかっこいいじゃん。
The kind of hero you always wanted to be.
ああ、私に正義の味方が務まるのかどうかわからないけど。
困っている人がいるなら助けてあげたいなって。
そうそう、それよ。
Got that right. That was a line from Mashiro's most beloved work of fiction. After hearing it over and over again, Natsuko had it memorized himself.
まあようや やく夏彦が私の趣味を理解してくれたのにお別れってのもちょっと寂しいけどね。まだまだ先の話だから。
As Marshall spoke, Natsuko thought he detected a hint of anxiety in her voice. It might all be in the future. There's no way she'd be completely calm about taking up such dangerous work. After having that thought, Natsuko looked Marshall in the eye and spoke.
わかった、マシロ。もしお前が管理官になるんなら、その時は僕らも一緒に行く。僕もそういうの好きなんだよ。それに、ずっと昔にお前と話した正義の旅の続きができるじゃないか。
Oh. Mashito's eyes widened at those words. Natsuko recalled a conversation he once had with her. One summer night, long, long ago. Right after they had freed Sirius the dog, the two of them ran away to their secret base and talked.
だったらこのまま二人で正義の旅に出ようか。
なんかわかんないけどそれいい。やりたいやりたい。
だろう。悪いやついっぱいやっつけてさ、保健所も懲らしめてさ。
でもそうなると敵も多いよね。そのためには仲間がもっといっぱい必要かな。
二人じゃさすがに無理か。
Natsuko thought to himself as he watched that smile of hers. Maybe this journey could continue forever instead of ending when they got home. It felt like he could walk like this anywhere so long as Mashito was with him.
あの頃の僕らはただの子供だった。だけど今は違う。仲間だってたくさんできた。有利にサリュに先生に。だから今度こそ正義の旅ができるはずだよ。お前となら、みんな一緒ならどこまでも歩いていける。そうだろ、マシロ。
After she heard those words, a complicated look formed on Mashito's face for a moment. Oh. But then she nodded with a smile across her entire face. Oh. Oh. All summer in a day. Memories with Luis, Yui, Sanamiya. Continuing the journey of justice is the achievement. One day, about 3 months after he had talked with Mashito about the future, Natsuko spoke with Sally in the lodging courtyard. That day, Sally had invited Natsuko to go see the stars with her. Oh. Stargazing was apparently Sally's hobby. She had invited Yuri and Mashito occasionally, too. Knowing her true history now, that makes her love of stargazing all the even better, you know? She never saw the stars until just literally a few days ago. She's only read about them and known about them from brains she'd had pasted on her. Oh. Alice! As Sally gazed at the stars tirelessly, Natsuko asked her a question.
サリュ、面白いかい？
面白い。空は時とともに移ろい、星は季節によって変化していく。実に興味深い。
なるほど、確かに。
The more Sally invited him to go stargazing, the more Natsuko became interested in the stars. He started to consider buying a telescope when Sally then whispered.
覚えてる？夏彦。
ん？
いつかもこうやって夜空を一緒に見上げたこと。夏彦とユーリ、そして真白の名前の共通点について話したでしょ？
ああ、もちろん。
Now that she mentioned it, he remembered. Right after Salyu came to the Tenkawa household, she did indeed say that.
彦星が僕、織姫、こと座のベガが有利、そして天の川にかかる鳥の羽が真っ白。だよな。
そう。だけどあれとはまた別の共通点があることに気がついた。あの星を見て。
Sally pointed at 3 conspicuously bright stars.
彦星と織姫に加えてもう一つ大きな星があるでしょ。 白鳥座のデネブ、その3つを総称して夏の大三角形と呼ぶ。
Ah, good old Deneb.
白鳥、すなわち鳥羽真白。
それはちょっとこじつけすぎじゃん。
こじつけじゃない、確固たる共通点。
Ah, Cygnus the swan, white birds. No, okay, no, I see that. I can see it. Sally spoke clearly and resolutely. She was not taking no for an answer.
そうか。確かに共通点だな。
夏の大三角形はまるであなたたちの絆の強さを象徴しているよう。それが焼ける。私は仲間外れだから。
焼けるって。何の話なのかな、これは。
Sally spoke to the confused Natsuhiko without taking her eyes off the sky.
このイントン生活中に私も理解した。あなたたちの関係には私の入り込む余地がない何かがある。
何？そんなことはないぞ。僕らは4人揃って仲間。
いや、そういうのではない。
じゃあどういうのだ？
それはすなわち三角関係、恋愛的な意味での。
Natsuko gasped. Yeah. That was the first time he'd ever heard Sally talk about such a topic. Oh. Alice? Alice cried as if she had read Natsuhiko's bewilderment.
確かにそういう関係かもしれないけど、焼けるってどういうことだ？ああ、わかった。真白を有利に取られたと思って悔しいんだな。
違う。私もその三角関係に参加したいということ。私は相変わらず空気を読むのが苦手なので、空気を読まず夏彦に告げる。私も夏彦が好き。
Now Natsuhiko was completely taken by surprise. He knew there was a non-zero chance of that possibility, but still.
ちょっと待ってくれ、サリュー。それは嬉しいけど。
Sally, I love you like a little sister.
僕ははっきり言って全然モテる方じゃないぞ。
さあ、自分でもよくわからない。
Unfortunately, you're in the little sister zone.
外の世界に出て初めて接した異性が夏彦だったから好きになっただけかもしれない。
Let's not get hasty there. You're in the family zone. Yuri is probably in the family zone. Mashiro was in the family zone for a long time, but finally graduated.
刷り込み効果みたいなものかも。
ああ、そうなんだ。
There's a point. That's a...
嘘。
Oh.
今のは冗談。
Oh. Sally glanced at Natsuhiko and smiled impishly. Even Alice is smiling. She looked back at the sky and continued.
理由なんかいくらでもある。例えば去年の9月16日早朝、夏彦は町を守ると言った。私は 個人を守るのに精一杯なのに、とてもかっこいいと思った。
Oh. Sally spoke fondly of her memories of Natsuhiko.
ラボで再会した時もそう。全身に重創を受けた夏彦がそれでも私のところに駆けつけてきた時、嬉しくて泣きそうになった。風見たちが悪意に感染した時、夏彦は身の危険を冒してでも被験体 N と対決した。自分が消えるかもしれないという恐怖を乗り越えてみんなのために戦った。真白も有利もいつも夏彦にははっきり言わない。夏彦は素敵な人。
Oh.
かっこよくて優しいから私はあなたが好きになった。理由は以上。反論は許さない。
Even in the twilight, Sally's cheeks were visibly flushed as she finished speaking. Natsuhiko's cheeks were probably the same. Couldn't help but avert his eyes as he responded to such honest joy and embarrassment.
ありがとう、サリュー。僕だって君を素敵な女の子だと思うし、感謝もしてる。いつも守ってくれてありがとう。だから君がピンチになったらいつでも僕が守って。
そういうのは今はいい。
え？
それより夏彦は結局誰を選ぶの？
え？Oh no! A sudden choice. Natsuhiko was terrified. Alice. Alice let out a bizarre cry. The emotion conveyed fear. There's no way to answer that without causing trouble. But regardless, Natsuhiko had to choose. Oh no. Sense of sympathy. The time to decide drew near. And his decision... Wait. There's a way out of this. There's no way I can just answer that question in this situation. Was that he couldn't find the words he had to say. Even if he could find an answer, he didn't have the courage to vocalize it. Reluctantly and timidly, he told Sally...
みんなのことが大好きですってのはダメ？
優柔不断は身を滅ぼす。
Oh. Sally elbowed Natsuhiko in the stomach. As he reeled in from the pain, Natsuhiko thought to himself, I deserve that. That end. Game over. Couldn't decide. Couldn't settle the love triangle. The love square's end. Memories with Yuri. One day, about a year after the incident, the children returned to Rokme City, their long life in seclusion over. Dr. Tenkawa took the four of them by car to somewhere a small distance away from the house. And she fucking drifted around that corner, dude. She was being cautious on the off chance that anyone shady was lurking just around the corner. Tactical stealth mom. The professor spoke as she surveyed her surroundings. Kids were happy to finally be back in their hometown. After a short walk, they saw the house that they hadn't seen in a year.
天川家か。何もかも皆懐かしい。わずか1週間しかいなかったけど、この家こそが私の帰る場所。
それにしてもあれからもう1年か。
そうだね。あっという間だったね。
みんな、この1年の感想は？
まあ楽しかったよ。サリュに勉強を教えてもらったりして毎日合宿みたいでさ。
おかげで苦手な科目もバッチリです。私就職決まってるから関係ないけど。私も聴歌局の局員とより格闘技術を磨くことができた。
それぞれ成果があったようね。ゆうりちゃんは？
became the grand champion of the ESP
そう
Bureau.
だユーリ、ここのところ部屋にこもってたみたいだけど。
You okay, Yuri?
実はようやくその成果が完成したの。
Oh?
ヒコリン、マシロ、サルちゃん、博士、私からのプレゼントです。
Yuri reached into her bag and took out.
マフラー昨日全員分が編み上がったの。
Oh!
ラボの中でも編んでたんだけど爆発で焼けちゃったから。
Ah.
ああ、そういえば。
Phantom Yuri had been knitting Oh, wow. Perhaps that was because the real Yuri had been knitting scarves as well.
マフラーが完成したら博士を通じてヒコリンに渡すつもりだったの。2年越しの悲願が叶ったよ。
Oh.
残
Oh.
念ながら七夕には間に合わなかったけどね。
七夕？どうして夏にマフラーが。あ、
Eh? Once Natsuko caught Yuri's implication, he looked up to the sky. Stars spread out onto the whole sky overhead. It was the same sky he looked up at 11 years ago. Seeing the stars reminded Natsuko of that night. The night where he took Yuri and ran from home as a child. As the professor took them home, Natsuko and Yuri looked up at the stars. At Orihime and Hikoboshi, separated by the heavenly river. Those stars seemed to symbolize Yuri and Natsuko. As Natsuko realized his own powerlessness, Yuri smiled and said,
2つの星はね、離れていても1年に1度会えるんだよ。
On Tanabata?
その約束があるから寂しくないんだよ。
Afterwards, they would be separated for real. What is that? And Yuri would wait in that dark underground facility for a once-a-year rendezvous with Natsuko. Is that an intentional effect? And aware of that future, he looked to her and said,
ねえ、ユーリ。僕、今日のこと忘れないよ。ユーリと一緒に星を見たこと、きっと忘れない。
As he looked at her, he silently swore to one day go up to her and protect her forever. Once I grow up and get stronger, I swear I'll protect you, Yuri. If you fulfilled that, Natsuko finally fulfilled the oath he swore that night. He finally saved Yuri and brought her back home to this house. Natsuko took the hand-knit scarf from Yuri and said,
おかえり、ユーリ。
ただいま。
"Aw." She answered with a bright smile, a smile outshining Orihime, the weaving princess in the night sky. Ooh, oh wow, lots of tips. Those memories became the past in an instant, and new days continued on afterwards. Now we have finally reached today, September 19th, 2031, exactly 1 year after the incident. It's the first time in a while that I have visited Rokume City. What? Watase Kasasagi's present. Oh shit. Watase. Grand epilogue. A gentle breeze sways through the trees. I slowly walk down the road as I feel that wind caress my cheeks. My left hand is a bouquet, and my right is the hand of the woman I love more than anything.
いい天気ね。
Oh, they're back!
ああ、のどかで静かで無所じゃ味わえなかったよ。
I'm relishing in the freedom I've finally obtained from the bottom of my heart. I'm finally walking, not under confinement, not under someone else's control, but on my own 2 feet. Never thought I could be so grateful for something we all take for granted.
出所をこの日に間に合わせてくれて先生に感謝しなきゃな。
そうね。
Kasumi casts her eyes downward. Her face from the side still looked as beautiful as ever.
出てきたばかりなのに忙しくしててごめんな。あれから1年が過ぎてもやらなきゃならないことがいくつもあるんだ。
いいえ、そんなこと気にしないで。あなたが生きているだけで、一緒に生きていけるだけで、私は幸せなんだから。
風見。
Kasumi and I look at each other. But right then, we hear a voice calling out to us from far up ahead.
もう何やってんのさ、2人とも。
Hi, Jun. Look to find Jun staring at us.
早 くしないと昼休み終わっちゃうだろ。抜けてきてんだから、ほら早く。
Rapido.
おいおい、そうせかすなよ、こんな日に。
あなたは相変わらず元気ね。
何のんきなこと言ってんだよ。こんな日だからこそ元気な姿を見せてあげたいんじゃん。
Our eyes widen at those words.
そうね。
それじゃそろそろあの子に会いに行くか。
Ah.
え、
Nagisa. Resume walking at those words. Our destination, Rokame Cemetery, located on the other side of the woods in the park. Today's the anniversary of Nagisa's death. We overcame many obstacles just so we could visit her grave. When we make our way to the Tachibana family grave, Nagisa's resting place,
Oh.
we find two familiar faces.
あら、遅かったわね。
Hey, Anna.
おや、珍しい人も来てるじゃないか。
Ukita. It's teacher the old man Ukita. Looks like they got here before us and offered sticks of incense at Nagisa's grave.
椿山さん、浮田さん、来てくれたの？
お忙しいところをわざわざ。いいのよ。これ以上に重要な用事なんてそうないもの。
そうとも。1年目のけじめだよ。
Teach and the old man smile as they say that. We return their smiles, then offer flowers to Nagisa's grave.
それにしても2人とも久しぶりだね。ここんところどうしてたの？
僕は出所後、天川博士に声をかけてもらってね。今は有志を集めて、クリーンな BC 研究所の設立計画を練ってるよ。ありし日の超真剣のようだね。
Yeah, if they could go back to that. If they could go back to that structure based on what we saw of the old PRC, with the knowledge they have now, they could really do some actual good.
私は精霊指定機密都市6カ所を行ったり来たりよ。もう忙しいったらないわ。
You're an absolute boss, Anna.
やはり他の機密都市でも同様の問題が。6名士ほどじゃないけどね。ま、多かれ少なかれ叩けば誇りが出てきたわ。
People.
Q の件もあるしな。
平和なようでいて問題だらけなんだね、この国。
Anna replied with a sigh in her voice.
人っていうのはこういう大きな事件でも起きない限りそのことに気づけないのよね。問題がどこかにある気がしていてもそれを探る気は起きない。社会が複雑になるにつれて問題も複雑化していく。それに関わる人も増えてそれぞれの正義とか事情とかが絡んでいくとそのうち誰が悪いのかわからなくなるものね。
Eventually it becomes difficult to tell who's in the wrong. We struggled with that for the longest time in this chapter, didn't we? Between Q and Labo and the ESP Bureau. All three, really. Ourselves. We really did struggle with that. All the parties tangled up in here. I think at this point, our answers are pretty clear, though. Perhaps there really is some truth to that. And the answers are... I say the answers are clear, but the answers aren't 100% black and white. I think that honestly makes this even better. You know, they aren't 100% black and white, where, obviously Q is, mostly black and white in the, evil department. Labo started out unambiguously well-meaning, but turned downright despicable. And Q started out as just a whole bunch of fear-mongering bigots and turned into fear-mongering bigots who are also shameless murderers of innocent people. So yeah, they both sides wound up being pretty awful, but Labo actually started out well-meaning. It's the same with Labo. Oops, that's the wrong button. Whose fault was it that caused that insane incident? The people running Labo? Rokme City's officials. Was it the fault of that pharmaceutical company that was business partners with Labo? Was it the fault of those 2 researchers who died underground, or the many other senior fellows who turned a blind eye? If you go further back, you would say it was caused by Alice Unflam, her parents, or the people who persecuted Alice. Perhaps Eishi Azumi, the man who developed Alice's BC abilities, or Section Chief Tsubakiyama, Teach's father who suggested the establishment of Labo were also factors. You're saying if Labo didn't exist, then it never could have gotten that far along and become so corrupted. The more people involved, the harder it gets to pin one of them as fully responsible. Yeah, that's... sounds ridiculous, but you can't deny that there's something to that, you know? The malice of individuals may seem utterly trivial. That if no one had ever suggested establishing a top-secret facility to keep rank S communicators in, then it would never have opened the door for those kinds of abuses. If Alice Unflam had never run away and ended up in Japan, she never would have become enified, she never would have gotten loose and caused the fire that sparked the birth of Labo. That opened the door to the government and big business taking over the good intentions of the Labo scientists, using BC to steal trade secrets, breaking Nagisa, having the abuses be present that prompted well-meaning people to turn to the opposite side of the spectrum in Q and look to do something about it. There's a ton of factors. No one of them can be pinpointed as the cause. I think it would be more fair to say that they all contributed in some way. Some more overtly malicious, some more coincidentally well-meaning. God damn it. When one's malice spreads to others, it amplifies, then stagnates and decays. Sometimes it decays enough for the people in on the whole problem to not even notice it.
それでも問題があるんなら、なんとか正さなきゃならないじゃん。
だが問題の存在を知ったとしても、是正する勇気は持ちにくい。
その勇気を持てたとしても、方法を決定的に間違うこともあるしな。
Looking at you, Ukita. Ukita talking about Miyoko, obviously. Who had been struggling to build the courage to correct the problems, the things that she knew were wrong. To the point where she had put into place a few measures she could use to fight back, despite never quite working up the courage to go through with it and actively fight back. There's Ukita, who went through with it in decisively illegal ways. Which his lack of knowledge about the depths of subject and identification had its own trigger in causing the incident to spiral out of control the way it did. The old man and I exchange wry smiles. Cosme mutters sadly.
何かを犠牲にするまで人はそれに気づけないとしたら 私たちはこれからもいろんなものを失い続けなければならないんでしょうか。
I hope not.
だとしたら渚の死はその過程で起きた仕方のない出来事だったんでしょうか。
In a perfect world, we should be doing what we can to try and make Nagisa's death the last to shit like this, instead of having new names out there every week. We should be actually standing up when this happens. Well, obviously, we should never have gotten to the point where she was lost. But
そんなわけないだろう。
I instantly answer Cosme's question.
被害者が仕方ないなんて思っちゃダメだ。絶対にダメだ。許しちゃいけないやつってのはいるんだ。あらゆる問題には必ず元凶がいるはずなんだよ。関わった人間が多いなら全員が責任を負えばいい。
あら、ずいぶん偉そうなことを。
元テロリストのくせに。
ああ、俺は最悪のテロリスト野郎さ。1年前の事件だけ見りゃ誰より非難されるべき男だ。器物損壊罪、凶器準備集合罪、傷害罪、銃刀法違反、その他もろもろ。1年で出所できたのは奇跡ってな大悪党だ。
Thanks for that, by the way, Teach.
だがな、俺は罪を償ったぜ。そんで出所した後はこの世界をどうにか少しでもまともにしようと思ってる。今度は武器を取らずにな。世間様に顔向けできる立場じゃないが、その意志だけは本物だ。
After I finished giving that rather self-indulgent speech, I expect to find everyone staring at me oddly, but...
あなたはもともとそういう人だし。
Oh.
罪を背負っていく覚悟はできてるんだろうし。
やり直す機会すら奪っちゃったら逆に誰も責任取らなくなるでしょうしね。
僕は何も言えない立場だが、隊長さんにはひとまず同意だ。
The four of them accept me with wry smiles. I mentally breathe a sigh of relief. Cosme then speaks up.
それにしても他の人々もあなたのように変わっていってくれるといいのですけれど。
Change is hard.
そうじゃなければ本当に渚たちが浮かばれません。
お姉ちゃん、今度こそきっと変わるはずだよ。
Change is hard, but you gotta put it in. It takes effort. And it takes time.
歴史を振り返ればこういうことは何度も繰り返されてきたよね。例えばチェルノブイリ原発の事故とか、例えば1年前のラボの事件とかさ。それは本当に負の歴史だけど、その度に人間は学んで後悔して少しずつ行動を改めていってると思うよ。
Teach suddenly speaks up when she hears that.
ビフォークライム、アフターデイズね。
Title drop.
知らない？ある社会学者が提唱した社会の劇的遷移現象のこと。
Oh no. Now we find out what the title
何
means.
か重大な罪が暴かれた時は、その前と後では世の価値観が激変することが多いって。
Before crime is exposed and in the days after.
今回の一件もそうだわ。それまで当たり前だと思っていたことが明確におかしい、犯罪的だと分かった時、社会は変わる。間違ったことは正さなければならない。そして私たちも変わっていかねばならない。そうしなければこの社会はどんどんおかしくなっていく。誰もがそう思ったはずよ。
なるほど。
That's certainly the case with me, personally. I changed greatly before committing that crime, and in the days after. Didn't mean to advocate crime at all, but I definitely thought that things needed to change. Both in this world and in myself.
あんな大事件に遭遇した後も、俺たちはその後の日々を生きることができている。だったら、その日々を無駄に生きちゃいけないよ
Look at Cosme after I say that.
な。なあ、風見。俺は必ずこの社会を少しでも良くしてみせるよ。俺たちが変われば、周りも少しずつ変わるはずだ。
No, they have to change. Even if that's a naive ideal of mine, I can't do anything unless I believe that. My true atonement is to devote the rest of my life to ensure that change. Cosme then finally smiles as if she can tell what I'm thinking.
そうよね。悪意は人から人へ伝染するかもしれないけど、善意も伝わっていくはずだから。
Our time in Labo also proved that, didn't it?
ああ、そうさ。
A thought crosses my mind when I hear that. Indeed, when people come in contact, they definitely have some sort of mutual effect on each other. They then respond to that change, and their relationship starts to change, too. There is goodwill, will to understand one another in there, and their relationship will surely turn out good. Much like how our relationships changed greatly in those 9 hours. When I think about that, I suddenly start to wonder how he's doing.
なあ、先生。あいつのことだけどさ。
ん？
先生なら知ってるだろう。あいつ、元気にやってるかい？
I was kind of hoping the gang would show up.
あら、気になるの？
そりゃ、少しはな。
やれやれ、素直じゃないんだから。
Hmm.
まあ男同士などこんなものだよ。
近頃ちょっと穏やかになったと思うけど、こういうところは変わらないのよね。
I break out into a wry smile from Cosme and the others' comments. I then look to the skies and think. Of course I'm worried. How could I not be? We nearly fought to the death once. That's why I offer a silent prayer for his sake. I pray that he's living his life peacefully in those days after. Oh, everyone here surely feels the same way. Casual Wadase. I love it. They all must be praying for peaceful days for the partners they fought side by side with on that fateful day. Even Okita looks dapper, and around that time. I'm with Yuri and the others, heading straight for Rokume Park. Natsuhiko Tenkawa's present. Oh hell yeah. For a while, we had been living a secluded life in order to escape the watchful eyes of the media. As the chaos in the world calmed down, we took the opportunity to finally return to Rokume City. Besides, today's the first anniversary of that Oh, they're going! Visiting her grave is another reason we came here.
いい天気だね。
Yuri blissfully smiles as she squints her eyes. Mashiro's sally when Mom respond.
平和だね。1年前の出来事が嘘みたいだね。
同意。ここしばらく平和すぎて退屈だけど。
タフね、ユイ。元気が余ってるなら私の仕事を手伝ってほしいくらいだわ。超過局との折衝や各方面とのやり取りでまたしても3日間鉄なのよ。さすがに疲れてきたわ。私もそろそろ年だし。
Oh.
ごめんよ母さん。これからは僕らも総出で手伝うから。
無論。
私も料理とかやりますよ。
私も何か頑張ります。
あら冗談よ。子供は学校行きなさい。あなたたちをそういう当たり前の生活ができるようにするため。私。
そうか。
I really think she's a great mom. She's such a loving, capable, and strong person, and to be honest, I'm proud to be her son. I'm glad things have improved in the years since. I can't stay under her wing forever.
ユーリ、マシロ、サリュー。母さんがダメだって言っても手伝おうな。
もちろん。
あったぼうや。
We exchange those words with a smile. Eventually, we reach the park. Yuri murmurs as we walk down the road to Rokume City. Cemetery.
それにしても懐かしいね。
そうか。10年ぶりになるんだな。ユーリがここを歩くのは。
覚えてるヒコリン。1年前ラボの中で再会した時、私が言ったこと。
覚えてるよ。いつかみんなでこの公園を一緒に歩きたいって。
Right, you got your wish.
願いが叶って本当によかった。
Mashiro and the others smile as Yuri's eyes begin to water.
これからはいくらでも歩けるよ、ユーリ。
そう、散歩なら何度でも付き合う。
だな。
I nodded those words too. The girls seemed to be happy that we came back to this city. Painful things happened here, but so too did many nostalgic memories. It's the city that Mashiro loves, the city that Sally found where she belonged, and the city where Yuri wanted to walk freely. The city we lived in, and the city we've finally returned to. We can choose our destination with our own free will. Some may take that privilege for granted. But it truly is a blessing.
なあ、みんな。
何？
僕ら生きてるんだな。自由を自分たちの手で勝ち取ることができたんだな。
うん。そうしみじみ言われると感慨深いけど。
そうね。本当にみんなよく生還してくれたわ。
9人の力と天川博士のおかげだね。
Yes, most of all it's thanks to him. Not that I'll ever say it, though. It's embarrassing. My feelings about him still haven't changed. He's a partner I feel grateful to, and he deserves my respect, but we're completely different. All the way from our heights to our ideologies. We can't even reach mutual understanding. As that thought crosses my mind, Yuri suddenly smiles.
ひょっとしたら私たちの力だけじゃないかもよ。
Oh?
え？
As we look at her in confusion, Yuri looks off into the distance.
みんな覚えてない？あの時ラボの中でさ、爆発まであと10分ってところですっごいフラッシュバックが起きたじゃない？
ああ、忘れるわけないよ。
あれ不思議だったね。何だったんだろうね。
何にせよ助かった。偶然にもあの中に脱出方法があったから。
Well, now you make it sound silly when you say it like that.
偶然じゃないのかもしれないよ。
Mom nods at Yuri's proposition.
その件については私もユーリちゃんから聞いたわ。過去に使った BC が連続で戻ってきたんですってね。
ああ。
しかもその中には意味のある情報が含まれていたとなると、あるいはその時ラボの中には何らかの意識が生まれていたのかもしれないわ。
意識ですか？
実はあの日私とユーリちゃんはそういう実験をしようと思っていたのよ。 BC によって発生する情報エネルギーを対流集積させることによってそこに意識は発生しうるかという実験。
わかりやすく言えば魂を作る実験だよ。魂。
母さんはできたと思うかい？
まあ今となってはわからないわ。検証しようもないし。
I'm right here!
確かにな。
でもヒコリン、私思うんだけど、あの時やっぱりその何かは
Matroiska?
ラボの中にいた気がするんだ。6時頃に WX 粒子増幅器が動き始めてから、それはラボの中にずっと漂っていたと思う。
Yes, inside Labo was several concentric smaller Labos.
最初はただ空っぽの魂で、意志も何もなくて、その場で起きている出来事を見ていることしかできなかったんだけどさ、少しずつ私たちの BC を受け取って、 その中に情報を蓄えていってさ。そしてその情報エネルギーがいっぱいになった時、意識を持つ魂さんが生まれたんじゃないかな。生まれてどうなったの？その魂さんがね、私たちを最後に助けてくれた気がするの。脱出口を見つけてくれて、それを私たちに伝えようとして。
それであのフラッシュバックが起きたって？
そう。ほら、魂さんは私たちに意思を伝える手段がないでしょ。だからそれまで得た情報を切り張りして脱出口を示してくれたんじゃないかなって。
ユーリはロマンちゃんだね。そういうの嫌いじゃないけどさ。
私はやはり単なる偶然だと思う。
Fair.
私はどちらとも言えないわね。いずれ再現実験を行うまでは。
Alright, everybody, break out the bombs. Yuri sulks at how none of them agree with her. She looks at me as if to ask me to back her up.
ねえ、ヒコリンはどう思う？あの時誰かが助けてくれたような気がしなかった？
I answered the question with a smile.
ああ、もちろんそう思うよ。
本当？
やれやれ、夏彦はユーリの意見
で
で何でも全肯定なんだね。
やれやれ。
Yare, yare.
やれやれだわ。
いやいやいや、僕もずっとそう考えていたんだよ。あの時確かに何かが僕らを手助けしてくれたって。
そうですか。まあ、そういうことにしときましょうか。
Everyone smiles once Mashto says that. I smile too as I secretly think to myself. I do agree with Yuri's opinion for the most part, but there's actually one part I disagree with. Music memory, Master? It's really just that last flashback where we were helped out. Weren't we helped out way before that? I think about it, whenever I had to make an important judgment call whether to trust someone or to doubt them, I felt like some kind of vague feeling was pushing me from behind. Oh, you shouldn't have, Natsuhiko. Well, if I talked about it out loud, I don't think anyone would understand, so I'll just keep it to myself for now.
でもさ、みんな。
We did just get blickwinkled.
もし本当に魂さんが生まれていたとしたら、それはどこに行っちゃったのかな？
I'm still here.
仮に生まれていたとしてもだよ。あの時ラボは爆発しちゃったし。
その時に消えてしまったのでは？
BC 粒子のエネルギーは減衰していくからね。
いや、もしかすると絶縁体が破壊されるとともにラボの外に出て今もどこかを漂ってるかもしれないよ。
I look up at the sky as I say that. Mr. Tsubakiyama once said in a lecture that all bodies of energy mix upon contact. So even if the BC particle energy did decay, that doesn't mean it disappeared entirely. So perhaps it was released from Lebo's dark facility and spread to all quarters of the world. Though if that were the case, then I guess the spirit's consciousness would start fading too. It would probably never try to speak to us again. After all, for its 9 hours of existence, it used quite unreliable communication. But it still left us with something precious. Oh, there's the other side! The gang. What that newborn spirit conveyed to us was a will that desired to connect people together. The wish to share minds and walk side by side. Desire for mutual understanding. Even if my communication with you has stopped, my will shall never fade. It will remain in the minds of those I came into contact with. My wish will never be lost. It will stay with you forever. Grand End! Grand End! Xtend episode unlocked. Selectable modes have been added to the extra menu. Answer mode for a double? Okay, this will be good. Because we got... Oh, shit. Oh boy. I don't know. There's the Xtend episode. I won't open that yet. Because we got a lot of tips to read. Oh, holy shit, we got a lot of tips to read. Okay. Let's read through it. Area N. Refers to the circular room placed at the center of the hexagonal labo. This large atrium spans both basement floors 1 and 2, reaching a height of over 10 meters. The N in Area N stands for nuclear, designating the nuclear reactor installed there for research purposes. Or at least that is the official explanation used for external purposes. In reality, there is no nuclear reactor, just a WX amplifier of considerable size, which allows them to carry out BC particle-related experiments both day and night. The truth of its existence is extremely secret. Even low-level researchers at Labo are given the same explanation as the official external explanation and are only told that there is a nuclear reactor in there. Further beneath Area N is a deep depth floor called Area 0, where top-secret experiments are performed. Area 0 has 6 locked rooms, allowing it to serve as a residential area for the test subjects. Subject N and Yuri lived in Area 0, as did other former test subjects like Salio. Use of the elevator connecting Area N and Area 0 requires a top-ranking Level N security card and retinal scans of 2 or more top-ranking researchers. Labo was originally a place meant for the unavoidable isolation of N-ified communicators, so the national government knows of Area N's existence. However, the morally corrupt Labo began to confine communicators regardless of their N-ification status. Yeah, just their ability level, not their status. That was when Labo started going downhill. Q! An anti-BC organization who claims that BC brings society nothing but anxiety. The organization is said to be centered around members of the Anti-BC League that once conducted activities in Rokame City. One member of the Anti-BC League was infected by Communicator A's malice and ended up as one of the perpetrators of the Great Rokame City arson. Oh. As a result, the entire citizens group gained infamy in Rokame City and was forced to disband. Q slowly gains its members through direct contact, and they scheme terrorist attacks against the government-designated top-secret cities like Rokame. Considering how Q has its own weapons smuggling route, top leaders in Rokame City government believe that the holdovers from the organization's citizens group, days like Sonozaki must be led by someone considerably important. However, the true identity of that leader is completely unknown. The Q could stand for question or quarantine. BC is used by communicators. Communicators are researched by top-secret cities. Top-secret cities are funded by the government, who sees BC as a priority. Q sees all these things as their enemy, yet it is these very things that define Q's existence. Well, that sentence makes sense, because that's generally... against government-designated top-secret facilities. What they don't tell you there is that it's against civilians, and not the government. Which is the point where they are too far gone. Yeah, anyway, Q's bad. Labo became horrifically bad. That's our story. Communicator. The general term for people who can use BC to convert atmospheric W particles into M particles due to a congenital BC receptor mutation. After the Grand Communicator discovery, communicators have been increasing in number throughout the world, and particularly in Japan. While a brain mutation may sound cool, it could also be called a brain disorder from another perspective. In fact, the higher a communicator's aptitude, the greater the degree of their BC receptor mutation, the more susceptible they are to brain diseases and cancer. Communicators are confirmed to have extremely short lifespans. Is BC a blessing for humanity? Was it a Pandora's box that should have been left unopened? Humanity is unable to even answer that question definitively. Making the best of it. Sirius's longest day. A series of events that started at 6:19 a.m. on September 16, 2030 with the occurrence of explosions in the 6th Laboratory of Atomic and Biological Organization in the outskirts of Rokame City, resulting in the partial collapse of Special Elite Rescue Squad Sirius. Battalion Chief Hyogo Murakami, commander of Sirius, called the series of events Sirius's longest day. Watase, Team A's leader, was arrested for terrorism. Dojima and Yama died in the line of duty, and Kazumi retired. Though they may have suffered heavy losses in personnel, Sirius is not an organization to collapse in the face of a handful of lost members, no matter how skilled they were. Having returned from Labo alive and more mentally mature, Jun is now a pillar of support for Sirius in its time of great change. Good on her, she deserves it. Shun Tenkawa. Natsuhiko's father, deceased, age 32 at the time of death. Rank B aptitude, ability level 4 communicator, and extreme rarity before the dawning of the great communicator discovery. His wife, Yoko Tenkawa, bore their only son, Natsuhiko. When the child was only 5 years old, Shun passed away, leaving him a letter and his beloved watch. Details of Shun's death were not spoken of, but it is easy to imagine due to his status as a high-level communicator. He accompanied Miyoko for a long time, and since she desired the reputation of a genius physicist, he joined her research team in Rokame City's PRC as Communicator S. Together they contributed to many advancements to the dawn of BC research from a physics approach. Those who knew him were under the impression that he was aloof, but the passion sleeping within his heart could be seen from his final letter to Natsuhiko. That is good stuff. Yoko Tenkawa, Natsuhiko's mother, a senior fellow at Labo. Especially is particle physics, and she is world-renowned as an authority in the field. Upon the quick realization that Natsuhiko, the child her beloved husband left behind, had BC aptitude, she devoted her life to researching ways to prolong the life of communicators, even if it meant she had to neglect their home. As a result, distance was drawn between her and Natsuhiko. However, Natsuhiko eventually came to know how her research had been out of her love for him. Their mother-son relationship is now improving. Okay. That's good. I know one of the big complaints is that Natsuhiko kinda went to straight from cursing out his mom and making her cry brah to forgiving her and coming to appreciate her in one go without dwelling on all of the hurt that she had inevitably caused by focusing entirely on her research and not on her son. Even if it was for the purpose of... Yeah, there's, of course, the big dilemma of if she had actually said anything about her line of work to Natsuhiko, given his curiosity and mental state at the time, who knows how he would have taken it? Who knows who he would have told that would have gotten back to Labo? Since he was an observation target, so him knowing that and saying it to anyone else could have put him in danger to some degree. Gotten them both in hot water. That's my only excuse for why she had to keep all of her work secret. Desperately working for some kind of answer so that her son wouldn't have to die as young or younger than her husband did. That's my defense of Miyoko. I will concede that the game could have done a lot more to focus on the harm that she did that she caused on Natsuhiko by living her life this way. And giving us a lot more to process. I guess more of the complicated side of their family relationship instead of just having that recovery happen having Natsuhiko come around immediately and then having the year off screen for things to improve. Wish there's a lot more of that, but this ending and this game is already loaded, so understand that there's some things that had to be skimmed over. On the other side of her deep love as a mother lies her passionate curiosity as a researcher, and thus she had Yuri, a rank S aptitude communicator like Natsuhiko, cooperate in groundbreaking experiments like the Informational Field Self-Awareness Development Experiment. Yeah, she can't get around that. Her research. Seishi Tojima, a rescue worker attached to Sirius, age 32. Ever since losing his girlfriend 16 years ago in the Great Rokumi City arson, he firmly believed in the idea that danger is man's territory. Women should just obediently go home. Oh, quite an antiquated idea indeed. And thus he silently opposed Kazumi and Jun dispatching as rescue workers, hoping that they would find employment elsewhere and quickly back away from the front lines. He always had a brash personality, but his apprehension around the women caused him to use abusive language towards them. When he learned the truth about the Great Arson, he accepted Watase's invitation without hesitation and got on board his Labo terrorist attack plot as a member of Q. Fortunately, after he got Subject N out of Area Zero in the plan to get her outside the facility, he was found by Kuroda and Higa, and tragically met his last moments in the ensuing confrontation. Oh, so he's a misogynist. Great. Great. That's fucked up. Before crime, after days. The phenomenon of drastic transition in society as proposed in a book of the same name by BC researcher and sociologist Chikage Sonomura. In short, society's values suddenly change when a major transgression is brought to the attention of its people. Chain of events set up by the explosions in the Rokumi City's 6th Laboratory of Atomic and Biological Organization on September 16, 2030 exposed the dark side of Rokumi City to broad daylight, bringing about a significant paradigm shift. How do we face the issue of BC? The issue of communicators? The issue of society as a whole? People must decide and carve the future for themselves. Natsuko Tedkawa, Watase Kasasagi, and all the concerned parties of the incident around them are most likely heading towards a good direction. Unfortunately, it is impossible to know for sure. I get what this is going for, and maybe this is intentional, saying that a society's values suddenly change. I mean, we're seeing right now, in this day and age, number of tragedies that hit the news over and over again. And yet, the same people keep making excuses, doing nothing, shifting the blame. Remaining stagnant. While it is certainly slowly rousing the hearts of people across this country, there's just as much a stubborn, backwards population who are stuck, pushing aside the change that should be coming. And it's that group that, how do we what do we do about them? There's no reaching that group. There's no reaching that group that time and time again proves that they aren't willing to move without drastic concessions on our part. Where they keep shifting the line further and further to the right, and then cry cooperation, cry bipartisanship, and force us to go further and further to the right to meet them halfway. And it's just, how do we get through to those people? What do we even do about it? Sure, we have more people more aware of what's wrong with this world at the ground floor of society, but the higher up you go, the more backwards you get. It's just how can't give up that fight. We gotta carve the future for ourselves, but it feels insurmountable when that top-heavy group in this fucking backwards ass country. Holds all the power. Refuses to change. Refuses to listen. It's tough, man. How do we do it? Hiyama! Let's find out how horrible Hiyama was. A rescue worker attached to the Special Leads Rescue Squad Sirius, age 29, lost his younger brother 16 years ago in the arson. He supported the mental side of Sirius as Watase's right-hand man, calming down the brash Dojima with his prudent disposition and keeping Kazumi in check when she was an overeager newcomer. When he learned about the truth about the Watase, about the Great Arson, he was somewhat hesitant, but still agreed with Watase's Labo terror plot. He became a member of Q alongside Dojima and participated in the terrorist attack, but when he tried to get Subject N out of Labo, he bumped into Kuroda and Higa. Oh, Jesus. Kuroda and Higa were Anna's pals, right? After Higa broke Hiyama's legs, rescue workers / terrorists still tried to escape, but he ran out of strength and got caught in a fire, leaving behind a tragic corpse. Jesus. That's awful. So Hiyama was a good person. Dojima was not. But Troiska. I felt there really was something within Labo back then. Yuri said softly with a smile, surrounded by the melancholy fall foliage of Rokume Park. The closed space we call the cranium is filled with M particles that mutually interact with the brain to accumulate information energy. That was my answer to the question, where is the self, and how is its consciousness formed? So I decided to run a large-scale experiment to simulate a brain in Labo's Area N 1 year ago. On September 16, 2030, if we filled a BC-insulated closed space with WX particles and emitted the full volume of information energy from a person's brain into that space, would it create another spirit? In the end, the experiment was forcibly cancelled by a certain incident. But in what might be a blessing from misfortune, the experiment still was carried out in a way I hadn't expected. The BC-insulated bulkheads created a closed space. A malfunctioning amplifier generated a high concentration of WX particles. The incessant use of BC converted these WX particles into a dense concentration of high-energy M particles. These three conditions were met in Labo that day, turning the entire facility into a facsimile of a human brain. Labo became a matryoshka enveloping Natsuhiko and Yuri. So in the end, was a consciousness born? If it was born, then is Natsuhiko right? Is that consciousness still drifting around somewhere, perceiving these very thoughts of mine right now? I have no way of knowing for sure, but perhaps. Hi, I'm here. I'm the consciousness. We just got Blake-Winkled. And finally, Rokume Municipal Apartment Complex gas explosion. At 3 p.m. on April 7th, 2021, a gas explosion occurred in the east building of the Rokume Municipal Apartment Complex. The building was nearly 44 years old and had traces of negligent construction work, such as the use of segregated concrete. After the impact of the blast, the building became unable to support its own weight and thus partially collapsed from the 6th floor all the way down. Many residents were killed or injured. At least according to the official reports. That Jesus did again. The nearly half-century-old Rokume City was a so-called ward for the special treatment of communicators. And so, for several reasons, the apartment complex had essentially become a dwelling place exclusively for families with communicators. In other words, it was the most suitable target for Q's terrorism. Afterwards, Rokume City made drastic improvements to security under the name of protecting the city's BC researchers and its communicator citizens from the dangers of assault. April 7th, 2021. That day is said by many to be the birth of the government-designated city Rokume, seen today. AKA the, high security, high surveillance Rokume that we see today. Hot diggity, son. Wow, we have 7 endings to go. We got the true ending, though. Ideas maternity. Yeah, 5 bad. And the other 2 good endings. And they are good endings that were supposed to come off of the last decision with Watase. But I'm pretty certain that I'm guessing I did too well with the RAM system. Where I bonded well too well with Watase to the point where I got the best possible outcomes of the hold-up. It's hard to say, but those two endings will go in my final ending video for Route D. Which I think I'll cover all of the bad endings and the 2 good endings I missed. That seems fair, right? Wow, so I have no idea how long the Xtend episode is going to be, but we have one more video of bad endings. Then we have the Xtend episode, however long that takes. So we made it to the end. We're not out of here yet. You're not rid of this game yet. No siree. Here's our theme songs of our main characters. Which theme is your favorite? I think Salu's is my favorite out of these 6. Obscurity. Yep, we have seen all of the musics. Only shuffle all. It's our playlist here. Hell yeah. What can I say? Ah, God. Death music. More videos. Oh, we're missing one? What are these? Whoa, whoa, whoa. That feels like title screen art. Yeah, this feels like promotional art. Oh. Salu and Yuri? Oh, no clue how we unlock these. This feels like promotional art. Oh, hi, Watase. That's a cool as fuck Watase. Holy shit. Okay, that's how you resize. Cool as hell, Watase. Watase turned out alright despite being terrorist. Here's the gang. What was the significance of the title screen? Empty white room with a smashed up chair. That's something I'm curious about. It reminds me of the trio of gods from the Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey. You know what I mean? The trio who met you in the empty white room on the couch. I think vague memories of that game. But man, there they are. Team after, team before. Part of me was kind of hoping that they would interact in the grand finale, but in a way this is fitting enough. They all got their own epilogues together as groups. I'm gonna get out of here. Get out of the death music. There's enough of that. We're gonna be getting enough of that next video. Amashito's theme is pretty good too, you know, so. Heck yeah. We'll end on a happy note, shall we? Ah. There's so much I could say about this game. But, just. Goddamn. Out of all the times that it could have ended, out of all the times that it felt like it was dragging in parts, Like, even in the parts like the before route where I felt like it was dragging, if you stuck with it, all that build-up that may have dragged in the eyes of some people was all worth it. The game made sure that everything, even the smallest little bit of filler, paid off in some way. And that's something impressive. You know? That's huge, huge props for that. I think all in all, of all the long visual novel games I've played on this channel, which in terms of long series, it's pretty much Higurashi and the Infinity series, I think this is my favorite game I've played. It's just, what a narrative, what a story, what an amazing characters that came through in the end. Sure, there's plenty of parts that could have been expanded upon, but considering how much this game already covered, it's just, man. Considering how much this game already covered, the fact that we're wanting even more from it should give you some impression of just how great what a memorable story, this story and world characters we had here. Anyway, I'm sure we'll have more to cover in Bad Endings and the Xtend episode, so I'm not gonna drone on for too long. We've already been going way too long, as is. He didn't get a new title screen, though, to celebrate the true ending. Aww. Maybe later. But, wow, we really made it. Really made it. So, we really made it, but we're gonna see it all through. Xtend episode and Bad Endings. So until next time, until then.